The worst thing that you can have in a class is when everyone's super quiet and no one's asking questions. That's really hard, both as a mentor, but also as a student. No one's interacting and you're not learning from other people. One of my favorite things at AM was when I started, I had no clue what I was learning about. I'd never done animation before. So I didn't even know what to ask. What do I ask? And also, every time I thought of a question, it was always like, ugh, everyone's gonna think I'm stupid for asking this. Everyone knows this. Everyone should, like, I'm just gonna seem like a fool for asking these simple things. And I was very lucky. The class that I started in at Animation Mentor was very talkative. And they were asking questions. They were asking questions that I had never even thought of asking, which made me learn things I had never even thought of learning, which was really cool. But what it also taught me was that many of them asked the questions that I was thinking, the questions that I thought were too stupid to ask, that everyone knows this, I should just learn it on my own. And it taught me very quickly that there are no stupid questions because you never know what someone else knows or doesn't know. So if you ask a question, sure, you're going to learn it, but you might be also helping someone else. And the other thing is maybe the person thinks they know the answer to it. And that's happened a few times where I've seen some students who think they know the answer. Someone asks the question and they get a different response than they were expecting from the mentor. It's a totally different view of the animation, of how to animate this type of thing or how to do this type of thing. So that even people who have an answer learn something. So kind of a detour from Sean Sexton's 18 student class is, to me, it's kind of a cool thing. And you just get to know more people too. But I highly recommend, if you can get into his class, he's great. Cameron had him as a mentor when we were in class 6 at AM, and he's an awesome guy. Do you feel like they pay teachers well? And general reviews in schools like Animation Mentor and Anim School. So I don't know about Anim School. I won't say anything about them because I don't have any numbers or anything. I do know the people who run Anim School are great people. I've talked to them. I know a lot of people who go to Anim School or who work for Anim School, and they are amazing people. Honestly, I animate Anim School and Animation Mentor. Everyone I've ever talked to of any of those schools are amazing. They are just fantastic people. So you're not going to go wrong with any of those three. And honestly, my usual thing on this is pick the one that fits best for you, your schedule, and your finances. What you will get out of it. And ask people who went to those schools, what did they think of it? And see if it fits your learning style. You want to pick the school that's going to be best for you, not what, for example, I can say Animation Mentor, amazing. And honestly, I do think that Animation Mentor is absolutely amazing. It's the reason I've been there for 10 years now. But don't just take my word for it. Ask other people. Ask people from other schools, because I don't have the experience from those other schools. So yeah, general reviews, they're all really, really good. I've got a soft spot for Animation Mentor. I really love it. I love the community. The people I've met there at AM and I continue to meet there are some of my closest friends. There's people that I met when I haven't even started class 1 yet. I was in the Maya workshop. So before the actual official program, I met people there, and I still play Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and all of those games with them. I actually had a gaming night with them like 2 weeks ago, which was amazing. So you make lifelong friends at AM. It's a fantastic. Now, do they pay the teachers very well? I can't speak for the other schools. AM does pay the mentors very well. They are very appreciative of the mentors, and they want to make sure the mentors are well taken care of. As a mentor at the school, I feel like I'm very well taken care of by AM. They really try to push what we want to do versus what the curriculum tells us to do and what the school board tells us to do. No, AM is all about what do students need to learn in order to make it in the industry. and not from the school perspective, from the people who are actually working at the studios. What do they think people need to learn? So they're very receptive of that, and that really, it makes teaching there a lot of fun, because you never feel like you're being told to not say things or to teach it in this way, even though you're never going to use these techniques in an actual studio environment. Like, why would you? It's kind of like when you learn math, and sometimes it's like, I'm never going to use this, which is still nice to learn. I loved math going to school, but there are times where it's like, I'm never going to use this thing I'm learning, and I never did afterwards. With AM, it's not like that, where it's, oh, you have to teach them this. Why? Because it's something that you have to know. But why? It's always, these are the things that you have to know because you're gonna use them. You're going to be using them day in and day out. So I really enjoy teaching at AM and working at AM because of that. Let's see, I fell way behind on the chat. Yeah, I love to see Cameron dancing to the song. He is like low energy but excited. Yeah, Cameron is much more like low key in the streams. Much more relaxed. I don't know what happened. I guess I just got the caffeine buzz from it. I don't know. I don't even drink caffeine. See, I don't know if I should share this or not, but I'm feeling so frustrated towards animating. When I open Maya, load a rig, at that exact moment, the feeling of sheer despair and failure goes through me. At that time, the only thing I can think of is, if I'm not capable enough to make a good shot, then why bother making it? It's not that I hate animation, I love it, but when I see other people's shots and then I see mine, I get so frustrated. Why mine is so bad, why can't I make something like that? That's actually, that's something we all go through, and you shouldn't feel bad about feeling that. Like, that is a totally natural thing. And I've had those moments. When I was going through AM, I think I've talked about this on stream before, but it's worth mentioning again for anyone who's new here. You will go through these times when you are learning something and you are going through this part where no matter what you do, your work just sucks and you can't get any better, and everyone else is so good, and it's just so frustrating. When I was a student, I literally had times, and I mean this quite literally, where I would crawl under my desk, just huddle in a ball, and just kind of rock myself going, why can't I learn this? Why am I so stupid? Why can I not get this? Everyone else is getting this. I just wanted to quit. I wanted to just, like, I'm never going to be an animator. I'm never going to be good at what I'm doing here. Why am I even trying? All of that. I've had those moments. I can think of at least 3 while I was in the main character animation program. Where it's just like, I was that close to quitting. So, yeah, we go through that. It's a tough process, and it hurts. It really does when you have to go through that. But it's very important to keep in mind that it is a natural part of learning. It's the art cycle. So I'm going to show an image here, and then we'll go a little bit more into that topic right here. So art is a cycle. And as we learn, we don't learn linearly, which means that we're not... Kraven, thanks so much for the sub. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much. And Sleep Deprived, I got the... actually, I'll just take a sip right now. Thank you so much for the reminder. So, as we learn, it is not a linear path. We don't just get better and better and better and better, and that's it. Our skill goes in a wave, and our perception of art goes in a wave. So perception of art, what does that mean? Essentially what it means is our ability to see mistakes and see when things aren't correct. So the better you get at that, the better you are at noticing, like, line of action and all of these things. Your brain is starting to pick up on these elements instead of just kind of seeing everything as a whole. You can pick out all the little bits. But these two things don't line up, which means that there will be points where your skills go up quickly before your eyes seem to improve, which means that you will feel good about your work. That's this point right here. Your perceived skill is higher than your ability to see the mistakes, which means that you work and wow, it's working great. It looks good. Yeah. So your skill has surpassed. But then, as you're doing that, your eyes will start getting better and better, which means that they will start ramping up. And then you get into this part. This is the horrible part of learning any art, is when your art skill is less good than your ability to see the issues. And that is where everything you do will feel like it sucks. Everything you do feels like you're just not learning, that you're not improving. But you are improving. The reason why you're improving is because you can see that you're not doing well. If you weren't improving, you wouldn't see that. It's a deceptive element. Now, does that make it better? No, it still sucks when you have to go through that. But it is a natural part of art. And when I learned this, that helped kind of manage it a little bit. The things that helped me the most when you're going through that cycle is it's okay to take a little bit of a break. It's okay to take a step back and reassess yourself. That's always a good thing. Take a little bit of a break. It's okay to... Oh, and where can you get this photo? If you do a search, I just looked on Google and just do like art cycle or art learning cycle, seeing versus drawing. What do I do when I run into these situations? 1, take a little bit of a break. 2, work on small tests. Don't worry about doing big things. Go back to the small things. I know I mentioned before, but do a bouncing ball. See how quickly you can make it and see what works, what doesn't. If you do a bouncing ball and you find out, oh, I'm still struggling with a little spacing, push that. Focus on the fundamentals. That way it kind of keeps you learning, but gets you away from the stress of a larger assignment. Do these quick little tests. Do just a hand test. Do just posing. Don't worry about animation. Just pose out your character. You could take a break and learn about a secondary set of skills. So one time when I got burnt out on animation and I couldn't put myself back into it, I took a break and I started doing gesture drawing. I started learning about storyboarding and composition and things like that. So it's still something I'm interested in. It goes into animation, but it's not having to animate. So it gave me a break that could allow me to refresh before I jumped back into it. It's tough. It's not easy to go through that. But then the other thing that can really help with these types of cycles is having people that you can talk to, having people where you can ask for their opinions. And this is where, like, for me, I was very lucky. I had Cameron. When we used to work when we were in AM as students, my desk is right here. His desk was literally just, what would it be, 10 feet away over there. It has since moved since we teach classes and we can't be on microphone at the same time in the same room. But we were right across from each other. So when I was having those moments where I'm looking at my shot and it just sucks. I can't get it right. It's not working. Nothing I do is making any sense. I'm just moving things and hoping for the best. There's not even a thought process there anymore. Cameron would come over, look at my work, and give me his opinion. Tell me what is working, what isn't working, and what he thinks the solution would be. He would give me feedback right there live. And I would do the same for him whenever he had that same feeling. So being able to get someone else to look at your work, someone you trust who will give you honest feedback, not the, like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but the parents going, oh, good work, let me put it on the fridge kind of thing. they're just giving you praise. And also you don't want the, oh, it sucks, ugh, it's terrible. That doesn't help either. The YouTube comments of comments. You want someone who you trust to give you that honest feedback. What works, what doesn't. It doesn't solve it, because especially if you're an artist, there is that feeling of, what would it be? How do I want to say it? That feeling of mistrust, where someone comes up to you and goes, oh, that's great, but you should fix this. But in the back of your mind, you're going, no, I know that you know it sucks, and you're just trying to be nice to me. And then oftentimes you'll, like, for example, for me, when people would come up to me and go, hey, that shot's looking pretty good, I would go, nah, no, it sucks. It's not really good. There's kind of two levels to that you want to be very careful of. One is, if you say that enough, you're going to start believing it, and it's going to be a part of you. That's what it was for me. I would never see anything good in my work, because no matter how many people said it was actually good, I never agreed with them. I always made it like, no, it's not good. So it kind of sinks in the more and more you do it. And it started, at least for me, it started as I'm being polite, where, yeah, I'm not going to go, yeah, you're right, I'm great, haha. It was more, oh, no, I need to work better. I need to, like, it started off like that. Over time, it went into actually thinking I was terrible, awful, just couldn't do anything right. But the second part of that, and the part that I didn't even realize until much later, is that when you do something like that, when someone comes up to you and goes, hey, that's great work, and they give you some feedback, like that positive feedback, and you go, oh, no, it is terrible. Think about it from the other side. What are you telling that person? They have just told you that this thing that they think is good, they've just told you, hey, well, actually, let me put it this way. Let's say you're walking down the street and you and a friend grab an ice cream. Both grab an ice cream, and they taste it and go, hey, this is great. I love this ice cream. And then you go, nah, it sucks. Is that a nice thing to say? They've just gotten this ice cream, they've tasted it, they love it, and you just go, no, it's terrible. Ugh, you're an awful person for wanting to have that ice cream. That would be awful. Why would we do that? No, it would be like, maybe I'm not a fan of that ice cream, but I'm glad you are. That's what we're doing with the art. When someone comes over and goes, hey, you're doing good work, and they give you some feedback, if we go, no, it sucks, what you're essentially telling them is, you don't have an eye for animation, and I know what I'm talking about, you don't, so go away. That's rude. That's horrible. And I didn't even realize I had been doing that for years. It might not actually come off as that, but it could. And again, it's just negatives. It's all negative. I love how this chat has started going into ice cream talk. I love it. Mint Oreo for me. When you're doing stuff like this, you have to be very careful and conscious of how you're going to come off to the other person. The best thing you can do is just ask them for clarification and be appreciative of them and trust in them. Like, I trust in Cameron. When he says my art is good, I know he's not just saying it to like pat on the back, oh, good job, trying to cheer me up. No, he's honest. If my art is not great, he'd tell me. If it's okay, he'll tell me. If he thinks it's good, he will tell me. So it's hard to do that, to look at your art objectively like that. So a rule that I've made for myself, and we've talked about this on stream before, is whenever I look at my art nowadays, and it took me a long time to learn how to do this, whenever I look at my art and I look at anything I create, I try to analyze it as if I was analyzing my best friend's work or Cameron's work or someone who I know, a friend. I look at it as if it was someone else's work, and what would I say to them? Not what I would say to myself, because what I would say to myself is mean and cruel. I'm an awful myself. What's the word I'm looking for? Self-criticism. Yeah, there you go. My self-criticism is very high. I don't usually think anything I do is really good. But if I look at it that view, I'm never gonna enjoy what I do, and I'm always gonna just put it down, put it down, put it down. Instead, look at it as if it's someone else's shot, and what would you tell that person? What would you tell that person that they need to work on? Even let's say the shot isn't good. Let's say I do a shot and it's not really working. What would you tell a friend? Would you tell them, "Ugh, that sucks. Just quit. Yeah, never pick up a pen again. You're not good at this." Or would you tell them, assuming you kind of know a little bit of the topic, "Oh, well, some of your fundamentals seem a little off. You could probably improve this or that. Maybe if you just focus on the posing first, try that." You would be constructive. You'd try to help them learn the thing that they are passionate about, that they want to do. So why wouldn't you do that to yourself? One of the big things that we see with art, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to start streaming in the first place, is when you see final animations, same thing with final artwork, we always see the final product. Wow, look at that, it's all fancy and shiny. Look at how Disney has made everything feel alive and beautiful. Look at the timing and the spacing. Oh, it's amazing. Hotel T is so cartoony. You don't see the work that went into it. All the failed attempts, the undos, the Control Z, undo, trying to get something to work. All the crashes that go into making something, all the lost shots, all the projects that went into a dead end. With artwork, you don't see the crumpled up paper that's like a mountain compared to the one sheet that actually worked out. What we see is the final product, and we have to be very aware that all these people that we admire and that we feel are amazing have gone through this process of failure. That's how you learn. You learn by failing and then figuring out what you did wrong and then improving. That's how we learn. It sucks, but it's true. So you have to have bad drawings, bad animations before you get to good ones. It doesn't make it, again, easier when that happens and you have to go through the bad stuff, but it is part of that process. So over time, what I've actually managed to do, I'm still not great at it, is whenever I make a mistake, one, I take it as a learning opportunity. When something doesn't turn out, I try to analyze, why didn't it turn out? What did I do wrong? Why am I not happy with this? And I make sure I write it down. I put a note on it. Not just, I don't like this. That's global. Well, what don't I like? I don't like it. Is it, I don't like the timing. It feels flat. It feels uninteresting. It doesn't feel alive. Okay, maybe we dive into that a little bit more. Why doesn't it feel alive? Is it the face that doesn't feel alive? Is it the way they move doesn't feel realistic? You go through and you dig down why. So that allows you to now focus on fixing that one thing that you're not doing wrong. But two, the other thing that I like to do is once I do that, I laugh at the mistake. Especially like sometimes you'll make a mistake and the animation just looks terrible. And it's just like, yeah, just laugh at it. Not in a self-deprecating laugh, like laughing at myself. No, just laugh at, like, I did something horrible. It looks super goofy. And okay, moving on. I learned from it. I'm going to do better next time. I'm not good at it, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better at doing that. So all of that said, kind of going back to the original thing, it is not bad to feel that way. Not at all. You are among friends who kind of, well, let's just do this. Show of hands here, who wants to admit it. How many people here have felt like a failure while animating? When you are animating and you do a shot and you feel like you're never going to get better. It's never going to get good. You've hit your plateau. That's it. Like, how many people? Probably the majority, if not all of you. That's normal. That is totally fine. And if we all quit when we felt like that, like, I wouldn't be an animator. I would have stopped when was it the first time? I think it was class 2 or 3 when I was in AM, where I hit that moment and it's just like, I'm never going to learn. I'm never going to be good enough. Like, look at all this show of hands. Yeah, Noelia, you're feeling it right now. Yeah, it happens. I actually felt it. And Johan, thank you so much for the sub. Oh, I really appreciate that. I felt that, when was it? Last month or something like that. And it doesn't always just apply to animation. Like, I've felt about that way with streaming, where I've had moments where it's like, I don't know if I should continue streaming. Am I doing a good job? Am I actually interesting to listen to? Are people learning from what I'm doing? Is it a good thing that I'm doing? How helpful can it actually be? It goes to all of these things. And there's moments where it's like, I'm ready to just stop. But then I go through and I think, okay, what is it about this thing that I'm not happy about? What can I improve? Maybe it's, for example, with the streaming, maybe I'm just kind of feeling like I'm repeating the same thing too often. So maybe I need to do something different. With animation, maybe it's just you're struggling with this one concept and you need to break out of it. So it is normal. It doesn't make it better that you're going through that. It sucks that you have to go through that. It sucks that we all have to go through that. But it is not the end of your journey. It is not like you've been defeated and you're never going to go forward. It is part of the journey. And at this point, it's just taking a little bit of a break, resetting yourself, and realizing that it's not that your animation skills have plateaued, it's that your skills have actually improved, but it's the visual portion of your skills that have improved, not the tactile, like actually doing it portion. So you have improved. You have. Otherwise, you wouldn't know that your animation doesn't look good. That's the big thing. The worst thing that can happen to an animator is when you're looking at any artist, really. You look at your work and go, I can't see anything wrong with this. It looks perfect. There's nothing that can be improved. At that point, your skill of seeing animation and seeing mistakes hasn't raised enough, because there's always something to improve. There's always something to push. So, especially when you're looking at your own work, I will put that kind of out there. When you're looking at your own work, we're very picky about our own work, so there's always something we could add in, a little tiny something. But yeah, just keep that in mind. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers the question. And if you have any other questions on that, definitely let me know. Because, like I said, I've gone through that. I've gone through horrible bouts of it, of thinking I'm never going to succeed. So yeah, it's something we do go through. So a big tangent there, but I hope it was helpful. Now let me catch up with the chat because I missed a lot. I'm probably going to scroll up a little bit, but if I missed any important questions or anything that anyone really wanted to know, let me know. I'm going to try to catch up really quick. Let's see. Catch up. I did a fun animation for my sister using the Forky rig, and I bounced his googly eyes around a lot. Nice. I've never tried the Forky rig, but it looked really cool. Let's see. I have a weird question. I don't have a fiery passion for periods to start working on new animation, and I need to press myself to start. But working on animation and seeing the results is super rewarding. Could it be because I have zero skills right now? It's tough. A lot of it is... well, there's so many different things. It could be that you're not getting to animate the things that you really want to do. So, for example, I know some animators who love cartoony animation. They're so good at it. They go in there and they're just great at cartoony stuff. But there will be times when they have to animate more realistic animation, more subtle stuff. Maybe it's for the project they're working on. And you can see that the drive to animate is a lot lower. It's just, okay, we'll animate, but it's not the thing they want to animate. They're just animating. So it could be partly that, where your skill level right now might not be to the point where you're getting to animate the things that you really want to do. It could be a matter of, we'll call it dedication. This is something I've noticed myself with drawing. I love to draw. I love sitting down. When I start drawing, I'm not amazing at it. I can never get a full drawing. I can do gesture drawings. I'm starting to get better at like starting to bring the body together, but I can never get like a finished product. But I love the aspect of it. I love just drawing. But I have a hard time actually sitting down to do it in the first place. And part of that for me is dedication. I always put it off. There's always something else I can do. Should I draw? But I've got some work to do. Should I draw? But I've got to prepare some food. Should I draw? Maybe I should sleep. And because of that, I'm always putting it off. It's always secondary. If drawing is something that I am passionate about, I really just want to draw, then I have to be conscious of putting that dedication in and making the time. Even though I don't feel like it, even though I don't want to at that time, I know that this is what I want to achieve, so I have to do it. It's the difference between dedication is what we want to have. Inspiration is nice, but we don't really want to focus on that. Inspiration is when you sit down and go, I need to draw, and you start drawing and it's great. But it's very fleeting. Inspiration, motivation, they are very fleeting. They will be there, but then they'll be gone. What we need to focus on is learning dedication, where this is what, like, for example, for me with animation, I love animation. I love it. I know that's what I want to do. There are days when I don't want to animate. I don't feel like it. I don't no, I don't want to deal with it. But it's my job. It's what I do. So I will do it because I know I love it. Even though today I don't love it, I'm going to work on it and I'm going to improve myself. And maybe that's not going into Maya and animating, but maybe it's reading an animation book. Maybe it's studying animation, doing a animation analysis, something that keeps me learning about it. So in terms of learning, like in this case, sitting down and doing animation, I think it would probably be like a bunch of different things. But the biggest one is just getting that dedication, especially if you're starting out, because that's what's going to get you to the point where you get to animate the stuff you really want. Let's see, is dedication this? I must get better at animation so I can get a job. That way I can sustain myself. That is one kind of dedication. I would say that's closer to a goal. Dedication is more, this is what I want to do with my life, so I'm going to do it. It doesn't have to be for an end goal. So for example, drawing. I'm never going to be an artist. I'm never going to be a draftsman or a storyboard artist. I very much doubt it. But I want to learn how to draw. It's something I've always been passionate about. Whether I have a job or not at the end, it's just something I want to do. And if I want to do it, then I do it. It's the same when I was learning or started learning American Sign Language. I've always wanted to learn it. And one day I just decided, instead of waiting for the inspiration to strike, I'm just going to start learning. And I started learning. And I learned more than I ever did in my whole life because I actually started for once. So it's very important to work on that dedication and that persistence. Okay. Trying to catch up here. I don't want to miss anyone's questions. There's the ice cream chat there. Okay. Catch up, catch up. Yeah, Agadio, just going into the first physicality shot in AO2 is something. I feel like I can get my poses super fast, but they're not well connected and not really good in the end. Feels overwhelming. It is. When you're suddenly taking all of the stuff that you learned from class 1 and then applying it to a full body shot, it can be a lot. The biggest thing that is important is keeping in mind that it's all the same things. So when you're posing out a body for a body mechanic shot, it's the same thing as when you're posing it out for a still pose. Same thing, all the same elements. Once you get all the poses in, now you're just adding breakdowns in between, which are just more poses, connecting them all together. It's still a lot to think of because instead of just doing one pose, you're doing 20 or 30 poses all linked together. But it's all the same principles. And the same thing when you go from body mechanics to facial mechanics. When I see a lot of people, and I was the same way, when I went to do my first facial animation, all my body mechanics went out the window because it's like, how do I do the face? How do I do everything else? What the heck? All these controls. When in reality, it's the exact same thing. You just pose out the body and then you pose out the face. There's nothing more than just adding a few extra controls up here and posing them as well. And oftentimes you can ignore them, just get the body in place and then just add the face afterwards. But it definitely, I know that feeling of like going in and suddenly there's a whole new world of controls and things to keep in mind. It's very daunting when you first jump into it. You must be tired on tangents. My life is all on a tangent. Let's see. I'm that guy who is working on a Nickelodeon project, and I'm pretty worried about the spline animation, semi-realistic, that I have to do after finishing this project. Should I have to worry or do something? If you're worried about the animation that you're going to be doing, whether it's maybe not sure if you're going to be doing it correctly or like having to transition from one project to the next, what I would recommend is just doing short little tests, like 24 frame tests. Let's say you have to do a semi-realistic project and there's going to be a lot of facial acting. Just do some quick facial tests, do some more realistic facial poses, and do some quick animations between them. If you have to do more realistic hand motions, just animate a hand. Just do some body poses. Kind of get into that mindset of the more realistic or semi-realistic workflow before you get to the project. That can help a lot. It kind of like dips your toe into it a little bit so that you're warmed up. Essentially, that's what it is. If you ever think of like working out, you have to warm up first so that you don't hurt yourself. It's the same thing in animation, where if I'm going to start on a project that's really cartoony, I should do a few quick tests on my own time to get into that mindset of cartoony animation before I get to the actual project. I apologize. It's very hot in the house today. I feel like I'm shining, which is weird because the floor is freezing. It's a cement floor and it is super cold. So I kind of just want to lie down on the floor right now. Okay, if I do miss any questions, I'm trying to go through the chat pretty quick here. If I miss any questions, let me know. Let's see, let's take a look at this image. Yeah, this basically sums it up. So what my creative process actually looks like. Doing insane amounts of inner work, letting go of expectations, emotions, and motivations. Too true. Staring at walls, squinting at half-finished projects. Oh yes, I've got a folder of unfinished projects. Napping, laying down like a corpse. Yes, just kind of getting away and just collapsing. Admiring everyone else's genius. Yes. Actually making stuff. Yes. thinking I messed up, I would probably switch these for me, but this is way too true. It hits home. Yes, I love it. That is awesome. Let's see. Is there a reason you teach the workshops rather than like a body mechanics or acting class? There's two main reasons. The first reason is that because Cameron and I are freelance animators, sometimes we're not always working at a studio, which means that we don't really always apply for the main character classes. In Animation Mentor, to teach a class, you have to be working in the industry. They want people who know what it's like to work in the industry now, not 20 years ago, not the way the industry was then, in the industry now. So to be a mentor, you have to be currently working at a studio. Because Cameron and I kind of drop in and out of studio work, it's hard for us to keep a consistent schedule. Workshops don't have that requirement because they're a little bit more, well, certain workshops like the Maya Lab workshop, they're a little bit more lenient on that. But the second reason is, even if we were working at a studio, we like to teach the intro to it, because that's when people are getting in, and we see a lot of people quit because they don't think animation is for them. So it's where we feel like we can do the most good, I guess you can say, of sharing our experience, what we went through going through the same thing of thinking you're never going to be an animator. I don't even know Maya. How can I even be an animator? So we like being in that position where we can help people with those types of questions or concerns. And it kind of lets us lay the groundwork and hopefully give them something that they can grow out of very well. So yeah, those are the two main reasons. One day I'd like to teach one of the other classes, but again, it depends on my work schedule. Okay. Shine on, you beautiful diamond. Oh, thank you, Uber Zombie. See, jokes aside, but I'm such an overthinker that I need to accomplish unrealistic goals in a short period of time. I have this mindset that everything is possible, and yeah, so it makes me do all these amazing things in my mind. Yeah, I think as creative people, a lot of us have that mentality of, we need to accomplish all these things all at once because look at that awesome thing, I want to do that. And we don't. The awesome thing that we're seeing is the product of years of dedication and work that went into creating that. And honestly, it would be insulting if we could just pick up our pencil and just do the same thing and accomplish in a day. Would it be nice? Yes, I would love it. But that art, that piece that we love, that animation that we adore, was created by someone's hard work and dedication. And to honor that, to be respectful of that, we should go through that same dedication to achieve that. Now, it doesn't mean we have to suffer for it. Art is not suffering. You can enjoy your time in art. But we can't expect to absorb 10 years of knowledge in a week or in a month or even in a year. So it takes time, but learning to be okay with where you are and what you're learning and focusing on the little things first, that all build up into being able to do the big thing that you really want to do, is so important. And the fun thing is, once you get into that mentality of just, okay, let's focus on the little things, you're going to reach a point where you'll look back and it's going to be like, how did I get here? How am I suddenly doing all of this cool work that I never thought I could do? It's just going to happen one day. And I can say that from experience, both from Cameron and I. We both had these moments when we were in AM where we're in a later class. For me, it was when I was in class 5. I think it was I always forget the week. Like week 3 or 4, I think, maybe a little later, where I'm animating my first 2-character dialogue shot. And I had this thought of, wait, I remember being in class 1 and seeing someone's 2-character dialogue shot and going, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm struggling with a bouncing ball with a pendulum, and they're doing a 2-character dialogue shot, 2 characters talking, camera changes, and all of this stuff, full body animation. And I'm struggling with like 20 frames of having this ball jump in a clean arc, as if I'm ever going to do that. And then here I am in class 5 doing the thing that I never thought I could do. And it just happened someday. And it was because I just did a little bit here and there, and I learned a little bit here and there, just one principle at a time, one thing at a time, and then suddenly you're there. So yeah, hopefully everyone gets to experience that at some point. It's a fun moment. See, for a long time I'm working on 2-stepped animation. Should I worry about spline animation? If you're working on 2-step, you're pretty much into splines already. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Doing a few quick tests, like take one of your shots that you did in 2s and go into splines with it, and just do like the first 50 frames of it, and practice cleaning up the curves and the graph editor. Honestly, you won't have to worry much. If you're animating on 2s, you're pretty much in the splines. You're just going to have a little bit of cleanup that you're going to have to deal with. So yeah, I don't think that that's going to be a problem at all. Jack Nicholson. The floor is cold enough for me to have the final scene in The Shining. Let's see. I notice sometimes that people fall in love with the idea of being an animator more than actually doing the animation. Yeah, I would agree with that, in the sense that animation is hard. And I've seen a lot of people who go into animation thinking, I'm going to work on cartoons and it's going to be fun and rainbows and unicorns. And it's like, we're working on cartoons. Amazing, Disney. Wow. And in reality, animation is hard. Animation is long. It's one of the... I've talked to people who were engineers, doctors, lawyers, in the military, and all of them have said that animation is the hardest thing they've ever done. So that tells you something. And it's hard not because it's physically demanding. It's not hard because it's actually impossible to learn. It's hard because you always have to keep learning. You never stop learning, ever. I'm always learning. I have not stopped learning. It's been 10 years since I started being an animator. I have not stopped learning a single day. And it's one of those things where you just have to accept that. If you want to be an animator, if this is what your dream is, you're going to have to keep learning until the end. You never stop. You're always improving yourself. And that goes with any art form, really. If you stop learning, that's when you plateau as an animator and everyone else is going to surpass you. Which, is that necessarily a bad thing? No. But if you're wanting to keep a job and be hireable, you want to keep pushing yourself. So in that sense, it's difficult. You're learning about a lot of different things. You're learning about like anatomy, physicality, body mechanics. You're learning how to move things. You're learning about acting. How do characters emote? How do you get subtle subtext into a face? How do you get performance to come through? You have to learn about cinematography later on. You have to learn about composition. You have to learn about creature locomotion. How do bears move versus cats versus dogs versus birds? How would a dragon move? Something that doesn't exist. For example, when the animators were working on Jurassic Park, they had to learn how dinosaurs move. And the first Jurassic Park was the first film that they actually created dinosaurs that moved realistically and not like the upright Godzilla-esque T-Rex, which technically they have to break the spine in order to move that way in those old cartoons. So you're learning a lot. You're always learning. When Disney animated Bambi, they brought in deer into the studio so that the animators could study them, how they move, what's their anatomy, all of this very important stuff, so that they could animate them realistically and properly. So yes, animation is hard, but it is rewarding too. I enjoy it. I wouldn't give it up for anything. I love animation. Well, anything, unlimited ice cream sounds pretty good, especially on a hot day like today. But honestly, I love animation. I love just looking at animation. For anyone who doesn't know, the first episode of Centaur World went up on YouTube. I watched that, the beginning section of that show. Oh, it's so good. I love it so much. So animation is something I'm passionate about. I love it. It's just something I don't think, even if I stopped animating, I would be in animation somehow. I would try to be. So for me, even though it's difficult, I want to do it. And it, in a way, I like that it's difficult, because it means I'm never going to get bored of it. I'm never going to reach that point where, for example, I used to be a baker before I was an animator, way back when. And Cameron and I were bakers for 4 years. By the 4th year, we had not only learned how to bake, because we actually didn't know how to bake before that. We had learned how to bake, but we had created a program on the bakery computer that would time all the breads for us, all of their prep time, all of their proofing time, all of their cooking times, when they have to be set out, everything. For the breads, the cookies, all of it. So essentially, when we were baking, we could just go, okay, we need like 20 white bread, 20 this, 3 dozen cookies, whatever. And it would tell us when to start them, when to take them out, when to put them out, all of that. There was no thought anymore. And it was nice in a way, because we could just work and kind of turn our brains off and just bake. But at the same time, it was sad because there was no learning. There was no, oh, what's going to be today? What am I going to be doing today? It was, okay, we're going to start with the white bread. We're going to start with the brown bread after that. Then we'll do the pumpernickel, and then we'll go on to the cookies after. Like, there was this order every day. You'd come back in the next day, the shelves are empty, you start it over. Next day, oh, the shelves are empty, start it over. We did invent a few new recipes. Breakfast bread was one of my favorites. But aside from that, especially like we worked in a small bakery out in the country, people didn't want cakes or like, oh, let's decorate this cake in a different way. It was all just like cinnamon buns and bread and cookies, something you can eat around a campfire, essentially. So hot dog buns and hamburger buns were a big one too. But it reached a point where we weren't really doing much. It was just day in, day out, same thing, which I still enjoyed. I love baking. But with animation, I've never felt that way. I've never felt like, today I have to come into work and same thing, do the same thing I did the last month. Every time it's, okay, what am I going to animate today? What do I have to think about? How am I going to approach this? It's Bo Ramsey. I don't think I'd be good at yelling at people, though. You're doing great. Awesome job. Keep going. That's the only thing I'd be yelling at people. It tastes delicious. See. So, yeah. Without the cursing, exactly. HE double hockey sticks. There you go. That's the biggest swear. So let me actually catch up here. I take responsibility for starting this question train we're on. No, don't apologize. This is a good question train. It's something that I know we've mentioned it a few times on the stream before, but it's always good mentioning because there might be some new people who haven't heard this. And it's very important to realize that you're not alone in this. When I was an animator, when I first started, I thought I was alone in this. I thought that I'm the only one who feels this way. Everyone else looks so confident. They're doing such good work. I'm doing such terrible work. Why can't I be as good as them? All of this stuff. It made it so much nicer when I realized that everyone kind of feels like that. It doesn't feel nice because I don't want other people to suffer through it, but to know that it's not a me thing, that I am not wrong, that I am not broken in some way, that as animators, as artists, that is a process, and we shouldn't feel bad about feeling it. We should just work through it and give ourselves some slack on it. It's okay to feel that. Can you even yell, or do your vocal cords cut out as it reaches a certain decibel? I'm trying to think if I've ever yelled. I must have yelled at... There were some dogs that attacked one of our cats once. I'm pretty sure we yelled at them. Luckily, our cat was okay. They climbed up a tree, so they were safe. What else? I guess like if someone's on a lawnmower or something and like trying to get their attention, like trying to yell over something, but yelling at someone, I don't think I've ever yelled at someone. I don't know. I'll think about that. I'm going to fire you just to give you a better job. Yeah, exactly. There you go. I love this. Angry praise. Watching my boss struggle with Maya was a huge sigh of relief for me. Like, it's just not just me. We all struggle with Maya. Honestly, any program really. People work with Maya, Blender, Cinema 4D, Toon Boom Harmony, TV Paint. I've heard people talk about all sorts of things with those programs. There's no perfect program. Even pencil and paper. It's like, which pencil do you have? Oh, this pencil. Ugh, it's terrible pencil. Yeah, we don't struggle alone. See, in the back of my head, I am worried that when I start working in the animation industry, I'm going to stop enjoying it. Like now as a student, we get to pick whatever we want to animate, and in the industry, you have to do what you're asked to do. Is that normal fear to have? Yes, totally normal. You're giving away your creative control, essentially, when you work at a studio. Now, is that a bad thing? Well, it depends on the person, honestly. Some people love that creative control, where you can dictate anything you want. You choose whatever you want to have happen. If you want the character to be riding a dragon, they ride a dragon. In a studio, you do what you're told to animate. Now, does that mean you have no creative control? No, you still have a lot of creative control in how you approach a scene and how you bring that character to life. And in many ways, it's kind of easier because when you're working on your own shots, you have to think of the cinematography. You have to plan out the shot. You have to shoot all the reference. You have to storyboard it all. You have to do your thumbnails. You have to come up with the idea in the first place. You have to do all of this stuff. When you're given a shot, it's really rewarding because you don't have to worry about a lot of it. Usually you're given your layout pass. You're given a previs pass even where the characters are supposed to walk and what they're supposed to do, kind of. You might have some storyboards. And from there, your job is not to have to do everything, but just to make this character come alive. And you can just focus on shooting the reference and animating. And that is very liberating in a lot of ways because you just get to like dive into just that meat of it and not worry about anything else of, oh, is this shot gonna be good? Is it, maybe I should do a different idea? How many people have had this where you start working on a shot, maybe you had 3 or 4 ideas, you pick one of them, start working on it, it's like partway through you're just starting thinking, well, what if I did the other one? And suddenly you're like not really thinking about the shot you're working on, and you're kind of going, always thinking back, but what if I just started the other one? I'll leave this and I'll start on another one. Especially I was like this with assignments, plan 2 or 3 different ideas and okay, I'll pick one. Week 2 or 3 of the assignment, I should have picked the other one. And it's just that like, you're always second guessing. Yeah, exactly, Tara. Your choice paralysis gets taken away. You have to animate this. You have no choice, so you're going to do it. It's the equivalent of, let's do this. This is a very good thing here. If I'm given a blank canvas here, we've just got this empty blank canvas. What do I draw? I could draw anything. I could draw a dragon. I could draw a person. I could draw a car. I could draw a storyboard. I could animate a scene. The possibilities are endless. Well, which one do I pick? Oh, I don't know. Which one do I really want to do? You get lost in all of these possibilities. Okay, let's pick a dragon. Oh, but which one? Should it be a cartoony dragon, a realistic dragon? Should I do a deep perspective shot? Like, there's so many choices, and it just goes on and on forever. But the moment that you're given limitations on a shot, so if, like, okay, I have to animate a dragon. Okay, set in stone. I don't have a choice. It's, that G looks weird. I have to animate a dragon. And, okay, it's going to be a dragon, great. Well, what are the limitations? It's going to be flying. Like, that's part of the storyboard. It's a flying dragon. Yeah, my A looks like an O. Drogon. Drogon the dragon. There you go. There's a flying dragon, and it's going to be attacking. Like, if anyone's seen Game of Thrones, it's the scene where the dragon's flying in and it's going to breathe fire across the whole army. Okay, now we've got something specific. We know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to fly over a hill and then dive bomb the army. Okay, now I know specifically what I need, and I can focus entirely on that. The more specific you get with limitations, the more creative you can actually become. It's one of the biggest things that whenever I'm trying to come up with an idea, the first thing I do is I set myself limitations. So, for example, a lot of you are potentially doing a body mechanic shot in Animation Mentor. Well, the first thing I'll do is, what are my limits? I've got no face. So if you're doing a body mechanics test with the Stewart rig, for example, you've got no face. What does that mean? Everything that the character feels and does has to be shown through the body. I can't have a character sitting there and smiling and then, frowning, because no one's going to see that. It has to be in the body. How am I going to show that in the body? Okay, I know that the character has mitten hands, so their hands are like this. That means I don't have the ability to do fine detail hand shots. Okay, now I'm not going to write all this down because my handwriting sucks, but you try to think through this. What's your shot limit? You only have 100 frames. Okay, no, folks, my A's are terrible today. Like, look at that. That A is not an A. Boop. There you go. Normally my A's are like this. Usually my E's are where I suck. My E, usually it kind of turns out like that. I have to be very conscious to get that nice round shape. Writing, curses. See. So, yeah, give yourself limitations. It's going to make it easier to come up with ideas. It's so much better. And when you get that in the studio, it's kind of fun to, okay, I've got this idea. How can I make it awesome? How can I make it work and work with the shot before and after? It's different, definitely. Very much less creative in the sense that you don't have like a ton of input on exactly what's going to happen in the shot, but also a totally different style of creativity, which I really enjoy. I like both, honestly.